Okay, hello everyone. Happy Sunday. I have just decided to go on here as an impromptu live to talk about Cock Worship 101. So this is going to be a really beautiful video for you. If you are really desiring your blowjob and sexual experience to be elevated to a new level where you have more depth, you have more celebration, and you even have more of a sense of sacredness and ritual around your blowjobs and your sexual interactions with your partner in general. So, Cock Worship 101 is essentially the practice of really seeing your partner's cock as a representation of the divine. And this really comes from the Tantric philosophy that really sees in the Tantric philosophy, they call it the lingam. So that is a Sanskrit word for the penis, and it is a really big representation of Shiva, which is one of the primordial forces that created the universe. It is the force of consciousness itself, and it is a very, very important aspect of that tradition. And so what cock worship does is that it brings in that sense of worship and that sense of ritual into your sexual experiences. Because it also, within the Tantric philosophy, what they see is that all of us are the microcosm of the macrocosm, meaning those big forces of the world that created us, the divine, God, goddess, God X, whatever you want to call it, that we are actually manifestations and representations of that. And so what you do in Cock Worship 101 is to actually treat the act of giving a blowjob as an act of channeling that worship and channeling that type of energy towards your partner, seeing them as divine, seeing them as a creation of God, God X, creator, however it is that you want to relate to that. And obviously, this can shift so many things inside of your relationship for many different reasons. So the places where I see most people getting stuck or not loving blowjobs or just feeling kind of uninspired in their sex life in general is that there tends to be a sort of freeze in our hearts that we've been taught that we have to do to protect ourselves from love, protect ourselves from disappointment, to protect ourselves essentially from being too vulnerable and too open with our partners. And what that can look like, whether you're, having sex with someone that you just met that night, or you're having sex with someone in a long-term partnership, I see this very often, especially in long-term partnerships, is that instead of seeing them as this, holy shit, you are the divine embodied, you are all of these incredible, amazing things, we can lose that luster, that shininess for our partner, right? We're annoyed about how they didn't take out the garbage. We hear them fart when they wake up in the morning. Maybe you've gone through things in your relationship where there is resentment, or maybe you're just not feeling, that great. You're like in a winter season, or your relationship has been in a winter season. Regardless of what it is, we can really start to see our partners less from this place of you are holy, you are beautiful, you are incredible, you are, everything, to here's what you don't do, here's what I resent from you, and very much this culture of like, what is it that I can get from you, right? And so what cock worship does and how you do it essentially is you really use your 5 senses. So you actually look at your partner's cock and you notice the colors, you notice the textures, you actually pause to look upon them with a feeling of awe and a feeling of reverence. Now, as I say, just step 1 alone I feel like that in itself is absolutely transformational and so different from the way that we usually see one another inside of the bedroom, in sex, and just in our everyday waking lives, right? How many times in your life do you actually stop to be present and like to soak in and to really feel and to open yourself up to the brilliance that your partner is? So you can really see how this starts to take this quote unquote normal, maybe even you just kind of do it as like a habit. Maybe it's just thrown into sort of the like 1, 2, 3 mix of how you have sex, right? This thing where you're like, okay, kind of suck their dick a little bit, and then we head towards sex, and then we do it, and then it's done. It really takes all of that like automatic, autopilot, sort of not present type of energy and drops you in a lot deeper. And so what happens when you start to see your partner in this way and you look at them with awe and you look at them with reverence, what starts to happen, one, in the way that you fundamentally see them in the day-to-day, but also imagine how that makes your partner feel. I can almost guarantee you that there have been very few people, maybe none, in your partner's life who have actually stopped and taken the time to give this to them. And that energy within itself is absolutely life-changing. Now, the next thing that you can do is obviously touch and feel the texture, and you can move into a practice that is actually called transfiguration, which is actually to see the cock, the penis, as that representation of the divine, as a representation of consciousness itself. And so what you do from then on is every stroke, every touch, every lick, every moment that you are spending giving pleasure to the cock, you are treating it as an act of worship. And truly, to me, in the realm of sacred sexuality, what takes something from being an everyday autopilot thing to something that is truly an act of freedom, that turns it into a spiritual act, that turns it into an act of love, an act of worship, is really just your frame of mind and is really just the intention behind it. So I want you to imagine inside of yourself, what would it be like to love on a cock with like complete awe and complete reverence, right? I feel like I talk a lot about pussy, and this is energetic pussy. This can also be energetic cock. You can also do this with a strap on. You can do it in so many ways. It really doesn't matter the form or the gender or anything like that. But, I often talk about pussy and the archetype of pussy as being, the center of creation in the world, the place from which things are born, right? That holds such a beautiful energy. And I think that the part that we can forget, especially kind of nowadays, is that the cock is a similar representation. It is also a representation of the most beautiful creation, the place from which life is given, the place that represents so much pleasure, so much desire, so much of that penetration into the world, which is so, 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 so beautiful. And so as you touch and as you love on the cock, you really treat it as worship. You could even really take a moment to almost fill the cock of your partner with everything that you love about them, right? And imagine almost as if as you are making love to the cock, working it and giving it love, that you are actually like loving and enhancing and bringing out all of those qualities that you really love inside of your partner. And I think that in partnership, this is one of the most important things, right? The whole point of partnership is to look at the other person as the highest version of themselves, to call them forward into their greatest power. And what's actually super, super powerful about this is that you're not just doing it on a mental level, you're not just speaking it to them, but you're doing it on a very embodied nervous system level, meaning down into the feeling, down into the most primal, the deepest deepest parts of you. And so therefore it integrates even more deeply into yourself and into your partner and into the way that you relate to each other, right? This practice can really melt away resentment. It can melt away stagnancy. It can melt away boredom in a relationship. And it can be really, really powerful, especially I know there's so many people that follow me who are just wanting to really relate to sex as something way deeper, something way more sacred, something that can be an exploration of enlightenment or God and worship of the divine itself, right? And I think ultimately too, to me, that is really what relationship is for, to awaken each other into the realization of the divinity that each one of you is, right? The unique brilliance and yet the same universal beauty and love and magic that we're all made of. And I think that to have that be a beautiful reflection between one another is one of the biggest gifts that we can give to each other. So that was sort of the primer on Cock Worship 101. I'm going to be going more deeply into this in BJ's For Your Pleasure, which there are 2 more days to sign up. I think there are about 80 of you or so that are already in the class, along with the 178 who have already done it last round. If you did it last round, you're invited to come back for free. If you buy it this time, you'll be invited to come back for free. There will absolutely be a recording because you'll probably want to revisit it. I am going to be teaching you about cock worship. I'm going to be teaching you about your mindset. I'm going to teach you about the emotions. I'm going to teach you about how to really take this act that has so much charge and so much poor conditioning around it and to turn it into something that truly makes you grow as a person and invites whoever you are in contact with to grow as well. We're going to be talking about communication, and I'm going to be actually live demoing some beautiful strokes, some actual practical tips that you can bring out in the bedroom that will be making you and your partner feel like the god, goddess, goddesses that you really are. It's going to be so much fun. I'm honestly super, super excited for it. So head to the link in my bio to join. Recording will absolutely be sent out. And allow yourself to open to the possibility of sex, of blowjobs, of loving one another truly, to be an act of worship that happens in your day-to-day and in the bedroom, and as a way for you and your partners to become closer and to have lots of pleasure and have lots of love, because what the hell else is life truly for? I really hope to see you there. If anyone has any questions here and now, I'll probably stick around for like another minute. But if you can either put it in the chat or you can put it into the little questions box. But I will just add that, I mean, this absolutely shifted a lot between myself and my partner. My partner has said that no one has ever done it before and that it fundamentally changed their experience sexually as well. And it just felt like such a beautiful, beautiful gift to give. And yeah, I mean, it's called BJ's for the holidays, so it's the giving season. I'm not seeing any questions, but we will also have Q&A at BJ's For Your Pleasure. So if you're joining us, get excited. It's going to be fantastic. I love you all and have a good rest of your Sunday. Mwah!